Good evening. Usually I upload a little earlier in the day than this, but it's late. And I just remembered. So, let's begin. I believe we left off at... Alright, pop filter. A long time ago, in the town of Niigata, in the province of Echizen, there lived a man named Nagao Chosei. By the way, the story is called the story of O-Tei. Nagao was the son of a physician and was educated for his father's profession. At an early age, he had been betrothed to a girl called O-Tei, the daughter of one of his father's friends, and both families had agreed that the wedding should take place as soon as Nagao had finished his studies. But the health of O-Tei proved to be weak, and in her 15th year she was attacked by a fatal consumption. When she became aware that she must die, she sent for Nagao to bid him farewell. As he knelt at her bedside, she said to him, "Nagao-sama, my betrothed, we were promised to each other from the time of our childhood, and we were to have been married at the end of this year." 16. All right. Anyway, we were to have been married at the end of this year, but now I am going to die. The gods know what is best for us. If I were able to live for some years longer, I could only continue to be a cause of trouble and grief for the others. With this frail body, I could not be a good wife, and therefore even wish to live for your sake would be a selfish wish. I am quite resigned to die, and I want you to promise that you will not grieve. Besides, I want to tell you that I think we shall meet again. Indeed we shall meet again, Nagao answered earnestly, and in that pure land there will be no pain of separation. Nay, nay, she responded softly, I mean not the pure land. I believe that we are destined to meet again in this world, although I shall be buried tomorrow. Nagao looked at her wonderingly, and saw her smile at his wonder. She continued in her gentle, dreamy voice, Yes, I mean in this world, in your present life, Nagao-sama, providing, indeed, that you wish it. Only, for this thing to happen, I must again be born a girl, and grow up to womanhood, so you would have to wait 15, 16 years. That is a long time. But my promised husband, you are now only 19 years old. All right. Anyway. Eager to soothe her dying moments, he answered tenderly, To wait for you, my betrothed, were no less a joy than a duty. We are pledged to each other for the time of 7 existences. But you doubt, she questioned, watching his face. My dear one, he answered, I doubt whether I should be able to know you in another body, under another name, unless you can tell me of a sign or token. That I cannot do, she said. Only the gods and the Buddhas know how and where we shall meet. But I am sure, very, very sure, that if you be not unwilling to receive me, I shall be able to come back to you. Remember these words of mine. She ceased to speak, and her eyes closed. She was dead. Nagao had been sincerely attached to O-Tei, and his grief was deep. He had a mortuary tablet made, inscribed with her Zokumyo signifies the personal name home during life. Ah, yes. Her of this place. Okay. Sorry for all the pauses. Inscribed with her Zokumyo, and he placed the tablet in his Buisudan. What is a Buisudan? Ah, Buddhist household shrine. We're learning together. And every day set offerings before it. He thought a great deal about the strange things that O-Tei had said to him just before her death, and, in the hope of pleasing her spirits, he wrote a solemn promise to wed her if she could ever return to him in another body. This written promise he sealed with his seal and placed in the Butsudan beside the mortuary tablet of O-Tei. Nevertheless, as Nagao was an only son, it was necessary that he should marry. He soon found himself obliged to yield to the wishes of his family, and to accept a wife of his father's choosing. After his marriage, he continued to set offerings before the tablet of O-Tei, and he never failed to remember her with affection. But by degrees, her image became dim in his memory, like a dream that is hard to recall, and the years went by. During those years, many misfortunes came upon him. He lost his parents by death, then his wife and his only child, so that he found himself alone in the world. He abandoned his desolate home, and set out upon a long journey in the hope of forgetting his sorrows. One day, in the course of his travels, he arrived at Ikao, a mountain village still famed for its thermal springs, and for the beautiful scenery of its neighborhood. In the village inn at which he stopped, a young girl came to wait upon him, and at the first sight of her face, he felt his heart leap as it had never leapt before. So strangely did she resemble O-Tei that he pinched himself to make sure that he was not dreaming. As she went and came, bringing fire and food, or arranging the chamber of the guest, her every attitude and motion revived in him some gracious memory of the girl to whom he had been pledged in his youth. He spoke to her, and she responded in a soft, clear voice, of which the sweetness saddened him with a sadness of other days. Then, in great wonder, he questioned her, saying, "Elder sister," which in this context, yes, young unmarried women were at the time likely addressed as One-san. So, elder sister, so much do you look like a person whom I knew long ago, that I was startled when you first entered this room. Pardon me, therefore, for asking, what is your native place, and what is your name? Immediately, and in the unforgotten voice of the dead, she thus made answer, "My name is O-Tei, and you are Nagao Chosei of Echigo, my promised husband. 17 years ago I died in Niigata. Then you made in writing a promise to marry me if ever I come back to this world in the body of a woman, and you sealed that written promise with your seal and put it in your Butsudan beside the tablet inscribed with my name, and therefore I came back." As she uttered these last words, she fell unconscious. Nagao married her, and the marriage was a happy one, but at no time afterwards could she remember what she had told him in answer to his question at Ikao. Neither could she remember anything of her previous existence. The recollection of her former birth, mysteriously kindled at the moment of that meeting, had again become obscured, and so thereafter remained. That's a nice story, ages aside. The next story is called Ubazakura. Ubazakura. 300 years ago, in the village of Asamimura, in the district called Onsengori, in the province of Iyo, there lived a good man named Tokubei. This Tokubei was the richest person in the district, and the Muraosa, or headman of the village, in most matters. This Tokubei was the richest person in the district and the Muraosa, or headman of the village, period. In most matters he was fortunate, but he reached the age of 40 without knowing the happiness of becoming a father. Therefore he and his wife, in the affliction of their childlessness, addressed many prayers to divinity Fudo Myo O, who had a famous temple called Saihoji in Asamimura. At last their prayers were heard, and the wife of Tokubei gave birth to a daughter. The child was very pretty, and she received the name Tsuyu. As the mother's milk was deficient, a milk nurse called O-Sode was hired for the little one. O-Tsuyu grew up to be a very beautiful girl, but at the age of 15 she fell sick, and the doctors thought that she was going to die. In that time, the nurse, O-Sode, who loved O-Tsuyu with a real mother's love, went to the temple Saihoji and fervently prayed to Fudo-sama on behalf of the girl. Every day for 21 days she went to the temple and prayed, and at the end of that time O-Tsuyu suddenly and completely recovered. Then there was great rejoicing in the house of Tokubei, and he gave a feast to all his friends in celebration of the happy event. But on the night of the feast, the nurse, O-Sode, had suddenly taken ill, and on the following morning the doctor who had been summoned to attend her announced that she was dying. Then the family, in great sorrow, gathered about her bed to bid her farewell, but she said to them there, "It is time that I should tell you something which you do not know. My prayer has been heard. I besought Fudo-sama that I might be permitted to die in the place of O-Tsuyu, and this great favor has been granted me. Therefore, you must not grieve about my death, but I have one request to make. I promised Fudo-sama that I would have a cherry tree planted in the garden of Saihoji for a thank you offering and a commemoration. Now I shall not be able to plant myself the tree there, so I must beg that you will fulfill that vow for me. Goodbye, dear friends, and remember that I was happy to die for O-Tsuyu's sake." After the funeral of O-Sode, a young cherry tree, the finest that could be found, was planted in the garden of Saihoji by the parents of O-Tsuyu. The tree grew and flourished, and on the 16th day of the 2nd month of the following year, the anniversary of O-Sode's death, it blossomed in a wonderful way. So it continued to blossom for 254 years, always upon the 16th day of the 2nd month. And its flowers, pink and white, were like the nipples of a woman's breasts, bedewed with milk, and the people called it Ubazakura, the cherry tree of the milk nurse. Interesting.